Get that button going. Okay, looks like the recorder has started. Excellent. So again, hello and welcome. This is Rick Baxter. Yep, that's my picture up there with Cost Control Software. I'm coming to you today from Carmel, Indiana. This is a live session, or if you're watching it on the replay, it's not live anymore. It was happening on Wednesday, December the 20th. First of all, I want to thank everybody for taking a little time today. I know we're very close to Christmas, and so we don't have as big a crowd as we sometimes do, but I'm so glad to have we've got 6, 7 people here today. So excellent. Glad to have you and taking some time to learn about Job Manager. Okay, so let me get started. Now, Ben should have sent this study guide to you, so you should be able to follow along. I will be going through the course here as we move along. Okay, one short disclaimer before I jump into the actual software and start showing you some things is you may see some things on your screen, especially those of you that are accustomed to jobs, that you don't have in your job system. Don't be alarmed. That's okay. It is things that you can add to your NAV software. So part of the reason I'm hoping you're here is to evaluate adding in some enhanced capabilities to your NAV software. So treat this as kind of an evaluation meeting as well. Okay, the way I like to do this, just so you know, is I tell it a little bit as a story as we go along. It's about a conveyor company, and it's called Kronos Conveyor Company, not really their name. And they have a shop located in St. Louis, out near the airport. And what they do is they design, they build, and they install. They do all 3 things, custom conveyors all over the United States. For them, every job is different. Now, I don't know if that sounds like you. You probably don't make conveyor systems, but you may make some kind of product or provide some type of service that's unique and different every time you do it. So what we're going to be looking at is how can NAV handle this idea of doing a job that's different every single time, but yet have some standards to it as well, because I think it's important to establish some standards, and the design of the software should lay that out. Okay, so what this company makes these conveyors. So here's a picture of their conveyor system, and it's one of their jobs. And I know, again, you don't make conveyor systems, but you probably make some kind of product, okay, that's unique and has to be designed. It has to be fabricated and built out specific and then taken to the customer's location and installed. So, you know, don't worry so much about that. I'm using an example of a conveyor today, but just think in terms of your own business. Now, I'm going to take you through how they landed this job. So this is a big job, okay? And they want to know if they made any money when the job was finished. That's part of, job costing, is analyzing profitability. So hopefully, as we go through this, you'll start to see one of the things that we want to reach for or strive for is job profitability. It's not just the cost of the job, it's the revenue as well. So we want to combine the revenue and the cost, and then the difference is the profitability. So I'm going to kind of follow the steps of how they got this opportunity from the time they received it all the way into job closeout. So the first thing that happens, and you may have something similar to this, you receive an inquiry at a trade show, or it might be a phone call that comes in, or you have some people doing some marketing for you and you get an inquiry about one of your products. So in the very early stages, Mighty Metal Recycling got an inquiry. The name on the card was Randy Johnson, or some name on the card, And this person now becomes a prospective customer, not an actual customer yet, a prospective customer. And so we want to add in that company and Randy Johnson into the system. Now, to expedite that, I'm going to just show you a couple things here. Let me move this out of the way. And I've already got some contacts in my, and I'm in, by the way, I'm using NAV 2017. I don't have this in 2018 yet. Probably by, I would say, mid-January, we will have all this moved into 2018, but right now it's 2017. So let's go to the contacts list. And I don't know if you've seen the list of contacts before, but this is just all the people and the companies that have that you've got in your, this is NAV's built-in CRM. And I don't know if you're aware that that's included with your software. Many people don't even know it exists, but it does, and it's pretty nice little system. And so I'm going to spare you the time of keying this stuff in, but I do want to show what the process is to add a new opportunity. So I'm going to take, let's see if I've got one here with Megan. I may have. Let me just look before I start here. Yeah, I've got an open opportunity with her. I'm going to use a different contact. So I'm going to take, let me see if I've got anything with Frank Lee here. Oh, good. No contacts. Okay. So you'll see this from scratch. So we're going to use this example for Frank Lee. He's my contact. So this is Frank's the person, and there's a lot of information about him. You can have comments and all sorts of information about Frank Lee. But what we want to do for this example is create an opportunity because we want to sell him a conveyor system. So I'm going to put in a new opportunity, and it is going to get a number. This is opportunity number 10 in my example, and we'll say new conveyor for the factory, something like that. Okay, so a couple things we want to put in there as well is we want to activate the first stage of this opportunity, what's called the first stage of the opportunity. I'm also going to put a sales cycle in here as well, and then we'll activate this first stage. Okay. So here's the initial stage. In fact, I need to update that because I want to put a dollar amount. So let's put a, I just want to update it. So I want to put in, let's say this is a $30,000 potential, and I'm going to say I had a good discussion with them at the trade show, and I can put in a closing date as well, estimated closing date. So now we have a value assigned to this particular opportunity with Mr. Frank Lee. Now, what I need to do is send him a quote. Okay, so I don't know who in your company actually does the quoting, but just think in terms of this prospect. We need to set up a new opportunity with Randy, and from the contact card, and we're going to send him a Randy. He's requesting a quotation, so I want you to see that process. So I'm going to start the quote. So to do a quote to Frank Lee here, I'm just going to say assign a sales quote. And notice I'm going to do as much as I can from right where I'm located. I don't want to have to exit out and go back in, or no, click from this screen to that screen. I want to minimize the clicks to be able to do processes. I think that's critically important when you're using the software. So I'm going to say assign a sales quote. And do you want to create a contact, a property management as a customer using the customer template? Yeah, we'll set them up, and we'll set them up as a small customer design. That's fine. And so we've got him in there now as a customer, and let's go ahead. And that's Frank Lee for the AR Day property management. And I'm going to quote, what did I say? I'm going to quote a conveyor system. So I'm going to come in here to my resources. And this is where I have a list of standard things that I sell, okay? And because I'm in the conveyor business, okay, I have ahead of time set up a conveyor so that I can record the design, the fab, and the install. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to say it's one conveyor, okay, as well as the price. I'm going to start this price, what I say in the book here. Oh, no. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm down on number 5, and I want to do a poll here in just a second. But let me go just a little bit further. And I'm also going to say I'm going to deliver this. We need to say when we're going to, let's say sometime by the end of November of 2018. That's next year. That's where my sample date is, that I'm going to have that conveyor system available to this customer. Now, it's not going to be $1, right? I don't want to do it for $1. I need to set up a job so that I can do my estimating process, okay? And notice on the job information here on the right side, there is no job number associated with this sales quote. Okay, but I'm on this. This is a standard NAV sales quote. I just got here from the opportunity system. Many of you actually just start with a sales quote and don't use opportunities. That's okay. It works either way. But what I would like to do is set up a job and do some estimating so I can figure out what price I want to put on the quote. That's done with a job button right here. Now, if you don't have job or jobs on your quote submenu, don't worry about it. That's easy to add. And we'll talk about how you can add some of this functionality to your software a little bit later on. But so now here's all you have to do. You just come in and say, let's make a job for this line item. So I just click this. Now think about, it's now creating that job for me. And we got a one date warning error. That's okay. So it's creating this job and it's copying in my template for this job. And it takes the number, this date number here, this 2017. That's not a year, by the way. That is the sales quote number, 2017. And you'll notice over here, there's a job number, 2017. In fact, I better write that down because I tend to forget these numbers. 2017-01. We're going to kind of follow this particular job as it moves along, and the master job of the project is 2017. Okay, again, not the year. I had to realize that. It's a little confusing. So now I need to do the estimate because I'm not going to sell the job for $1. I've got to figure out how I'm going to price this and think in terms of your own business. What is your process to price this thing out? So I'm going to go into what's called, and I do it from here, view the jobs estimating. So this is an estimating. Let me open this up. This is the estimating worksheet. This is where I can see all the steps and processes that I go through on a typical job. So I have client meetings, I have engineering that I've got to do, I've got designers, I've got, in my sample, I've got cutting, and I've got welding, and I've got painting. Think in terms of your own set of codes, okay? These are just samples, okay, that I've got here. I've even got some on-site work. Remember I said at the beginning that this company goes out and does the on-site installation. So they have site prep to do. They've got the installation, the training of the customer, final meeting, double checking that the system's working correctly, whatever that might be. You want to set up your own set of codes for this work. Now the template, already the way I designed mine, is I've got it set so that whenever we have client meetings, I budget about 30 hours. But let's say on this job, it's probably only 20 hours. So I can adjust that. And I'll show you what it's doing. When it adjusts this to 20 hours, there, 20 hours, down in the lower window, it is, and these are called planning lines. For those of you that may not be familiar with the term, these are the NAV planning lines associated with this particular activity or task. Each of these are called tasks, the job task number. So this is the number, and it could be a 2-digit number, it could be 10, 20, 30, or it can be, 5, 6, 7-digit number, depending however you like it. And notice it's grouping. It's got totals for me. It's got the total hours right here. It's got the total labor cost right here. And the labor cost, think about that. It's taking that 20 hours times some rate. So I've got some rate here that's assigned to the resource. In this case, it's Linda Martin, times the 20 hours to come up with the total cost of $194. That's what you see up here. So if I move to the next line, this is labor 30. Now I use labor 30 as kind of a catch-all. It's basically labor at a shop rate of 30. And I just, because I don't know exactly who's going to be assigned to do the work, I just like to have something in there. And I've got 20 hours, which I could change again if I needed to. But it's got 20 hours at $30 an hour. That's $600 cost. And so it drops it in up here, because we're going to eventually total this column up so we know exactly what the cost is, and that'll help us produce the estimated price. Okay. I think this, I hope you like what you're seeing here. I think it's really cool kind of software, and I just think it'd be cool if you had this in your NAV environment as well. Okay, so it's got all this total up here and the totals down here. It's also got price. Did you see it's got the price information, which if I slide the upper window over a little bit more, more past the dates, here's the price. Here's labor price. Here's the machine price. Here's the material price, because I can have materials in here as well. So down here on this cutting, I've got some side panels, some base, some rear panel. And on the machining, do I have any? No materials there. Welding, no materials. Painting, I could probably throw in some paint down here. So you can adjust this to whatever you need. In fact, even on the materials, if you want to edit those planning lines, you just pop up here and say, okay, for these different items, let's say the side panels on this job, I'm going to need 5 instead of 4. Well, it's going to change that from 4 to a 5. And it's going to re-extend and come up with a new extended total cost for the materials. So this would be your list of materials. Sometimes it's referred to as a parts list or bill of materials, as well as the price is in here as well. And let me go back a screen, and that's where you're seeing the price of the materials here. Now, one more concept. Okay, so this is the other part to this, is we said we want to send the customer a quotation. Okay, to start the job, you got to have a quote, an accepted quote, okay, for you to do the work. Maybe even get a deposit, but got to have at least a quote sent out to him. So this is where I have the contract amount. Now, I like to do it per line item. I like to have an amount for each of the items so I know what I'm charging for each of the different services and things that we're doing. And you'll notice that the price information, which came from down here, this total price, is now reflected up here at the top. So I'm able to say, okay, well, just to kind of rough it out, I could just copy that scheduled price to the task contract amount. So I just hit this button. It says, are you sure? Yes, I am. And it copies them all over here, shows me what my margins are, and also lets me adjust it. So if I want on this, let's just say one line item for welding, I'm going to change that to $300. I can just enter the $300, and it's going to be adjusting down here at the bottom right my contract amount. Okay, it's also down at the bottom down here, about $25,000 for this particular conveyor system. So, and you could also do it the other way. So if you wanted to say, well, no, the margin, we're going to do this at 40% margin, then it's going to calculate for you the price based on the percent of margin. Works either direction, whichever way you want to do it. Okay, so now I've adjusted this, and we've got this price, $24,954.60. Remember that number, $24,000 with 60 cents. Okay, so I'm now ready to populate that onto the quote, because that's where I really started, from the quote, right? This is just a worksheet that lets me price out the job. So I escape out of here, Okay, do you wish to change the unit price of $1 to this price, $24,954.60? I'm going to say yes, and now I've got my quote ready to be sent off to the customer. So you could you can always physically print it. I mean, you can. Where's the print button? So let me just print it once so you can see what it looks like. 24,000. So here's the sales quote document itself, and then down at the total, it's cut off just a little bit here on your screen. Sorry about that. Let me see if this helps. Yeah, it's cut off just a little bit. Okay, so, but it's got the dollar amount that goes out, and notice the formatting of the document as well. Okay, so we send the quote off to the customer, he approves it. Now, and I'm just thinking in terms of the workflow. Once they approve it, it makes sense that you convert it into a firm order. Okay, so what we want to do now is basically convert the quote into an order. We've already got the job. Remember, we've got this job set up out there, but it's a quote job. We'll go there in just a second. And I'm going to go ahead and make this into an order so that we can start working on it. So we're going to convert the quote to an order. We'll say yes. We've got an open opportunity. Yeah, we know that. Do you want to close the opportunity? Yeah, we'll say we're done with that opportunity. We won the business. Okay, so we'll just say okay to that. The reason. They want to know why. Well, we'll say we have the best product, and we can even put in about 25,000 for the value, and we can cancel any open to-dos. So it's now going to close out that opportunity, and it's going to convert this quote from basically from a sales quote to a sales order. So do you want to open the sales order? It's saying yes. So I'm going to just do that real quick so you can see it. So here's my sales order. It's all the same information. This is now a firm order. You would probably add your customer's external number, which would be like PO, because by now you probably have a PO number from that customer. And the job number is still linked. So we still have the job number. And notice that the sales order number and the quote number and the job number all the same. I think that's important to kind of keep them in sync. It helps you kind of remember where you are. Okay, so with this place in mind, I'm going to just see how far I went without. Okay, so I created the quote. I'm going to do this poll in just a second. I created the quote to calculate the price. I did that. I updated the price. Did that. Send Randy the quote. Yep, we saw that as a PDF. And if the quotation contains a lot of text, now this is important too. If your quote has lots of text on it, a lot of verbiage that you put on those quotes, you can use a Word document to do the quote. You've done the hard part, which is all that math, the calculation, and then NAV will hold that as a reference more than the physical document. Although I have had customers that actually do the same thing. They put all that information, that the text and verbiage and terms and conditions right on the sales quote. It works that way as well. Okay, so we said make order. The order's been approved, the job's set up, and before I go any further, I want to get this poll in to see if you feel that based on what I've shown you so far, this looks hard or easy, or what do you think? So you get to do a quickie poll here. We're going to pause for just a minute before we go further, and let me know whether you think this is easy and you thought it would be harder, or if you think it's hard and you thought it'd be easier than this. Just grab your mouse and click that little one of those little circles up there. And if it's not for you, I'll comment. If this is not for you, if you're not looking for job costing, because that's where I'm going next. Okay, somebody's already asking, when are you going to get to job costing? That's where I'm going next. You can click that, but I promise I am going to go do some job costing here in just a minute. Okay, so we're saying, okay, pretty good. So let's share this back with you. I'll share this and let you know what people are saying. 80% of you are saying it's easy and you thought it would be harder, so that's good. Nobody's saying it's hard. I appreciate that. And 20% say, hurry up, Rick, I want to get to job costing, and so do I, so that's where we're going next. So let me get that off your screen, and let's go on to the next process. Okay, they now have an approved order, and the job is set up to track the actual cost during fulfillment. So what we're going to get into now, okay, in fact, I'm going to skip this one, is testing the estimating. I call it testing estimating accuracy. It's really comparing your estimate to your actuals. Was the estimate a good estimate or was it a crummy estimate? Okay, because you want to be sure that you can compare the two easily. So the first thing that typically happens here is number 12 is print the traveler for the shop. So let's go to the job list now. So I'm going to go over to my role center, and I do have quite a few jobs in my sample here, but we're going to go to that brand new job, 2017 job. Here it is down here in the list. This is the one we just put in. Remember, for 24,954.60. This is that conveyor system. And you'll notice too on the right side in my fact box, it's got the contract amount, it's got how many hours of labor, it's got the shop dollar amount, it's got estimates for material, not very much, but yours might be thousands and thousands of dollars of material cost. And I don't have any outside processing, but it could. Okay, and I don't have any transportation costs, but it could, or miscellaneous or overhead costs. All those things can be in here to give you a total estimated or budgeted cost for this particular job. Okay, now, in fact, if you remember the estimating screen, I'm going to go back to that again, and I'm going to do it this time from the job. So right from here, I can pick on estimating, and I see that same screen. Remember, I changed Linda Martin to 20 hours? So all of that comes immediately forward to this job. This is my baseline. This says, okay, I think it's going to take 20 hours. Now, as Linda starts posting time to code 111 or 1100, then I will actually see if this number was good or not, okay? Because we'll want to be able to see variances between the estimate and the actuals. And the actuals as of right now, if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see the job actuals down here. I have no revenue. I haven't done any billing. I have no hours posted to this job. Now, I probably do on others. If I click on some of these others, I've got some hours and time. But on the one we just put in, because it's a brand new job, obviously there's not going to be any cost to that job at this stage. Okay, so you kind of get the idea there. Now, one of the major topics that we talked about for this particular webinar is how to turn jobs into projects. And I want to address that before I go any further, because last time I forgot to say anything about it, and I want to remember to say that now. So let me give you an example. I'm going to go to this job up here at the top. So here's job 1001, and I've got a 1001 01, 1001 change order to 01, and 1002 and 1003. So I've got four basically jobs, one change order job and three additional jobs, all related to this single master job. So the master job becomes the project. The individual jobs, and you see their numbers over here on the right side, they're going to have their own contract amounts, they're going to have their own estimates of cost, they're going to have their own actual cost. But when you're on the master job, you're getting a roll up of all of the sub jobs. So that is our concept of a project, which is a grouping of multiple jobs. So you still have the concept of individual jobs, but now you get this ability to group, and that's why we put the dash numbers there. Dash 01, dash 02, dash 03, so, and whether you have 1 or 2 or 10, or it doesn't matter, 50, whatever it is, you can have all these sub jobs underneath a master, and all the costs are going to be rolling up from the individual jobs to the master job. Hopefully you get that concept. Now on the one we set up, I just had one job. So that it's possible, certainly very possible, to have a master job and only one sub job below it. Very, very common thing. Okay, so where was I? A traveler. Okay, so I want to show you the traveler. So I'm sitting here on the job. One of the first things you got to do is give the guys information about what they're supposed to do. So the job manager reports here. Here is the job traveler. And let's print this for this job that we're on, 2017-01, -01, this one right here. And I'm just going to preview it to the screen so you can see what this looks like. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Let's do it this way. Yeah. Okay. Zoom. We'll go in 150. Okay, there we go. So here is the job traveler. You can have an image of your conveyor system, and then these are the tasks. They're all barcoded. So it's important to be able to incorporate a scanning system so that your employees, if they're working especially down here, such as welding and machining and painting, they can go up to a scanning station in the shop and scan in their time and scan, it's like a punch-in system, but it uses a hand scanner. I won't have time to kind of show all of that process. It is available right on our website. It's called Job Time Entry, and there's a nice video showing how to use it with the scanners. So if you want to learn about scanning technology and how to combine that with your job system, just go there and you'd see that. And I just wouldn't that be cool? Just think about that. It's just if you had a system like that, a scanning system, would you use it? Hopefully you're saying yes. Yes, I'm going to use that if I had it. Right now you probably don't have it, but we'd really like to see you implement this kind of software. And that's what we do here at Cost Control. I think that's most of you on the call have been here maybe before or know about us. This is what we do. We help you implement these kinds of systems. Okay, I'm going to close out of that. Let's go back to our study guide. Okay, so that's the traveler. 13 is the purchasing. So I'm on page 5 now, by the way. The purchasing department can look at the raw materials used on the estimate to assist with procurement. So they can either buy or use out of stock. Now the concept here is if you stock your raw materials in inventory, then you're going to be recording the consumption, the usage entries, okay, in the job journal. If you don't stock them and you need to buy them, a lot of companies wait until the job starts and then you buy the materials specific for that job. Let me show you what we do to handle and expedite that. So here's the job. Let's go back to the home center, and I'm going to go to the purchase BOM lines right here, purchase BOM lines. What this will bring up is a list specific to this job. It's filtered on 2017-01. That's our job that we're on. Remember I changed that 5 to a 4 to a 5 of side panels? So these are the items, and you could have a list of hundreds of inventory items here. And you've got to make some decisions about purchasing. So one of the things that I like to know is, first of all, on these side panels, do I have any in stock? So, and you don't want to have to leave where you are to find out information. I think that's if you design your screens the right way, okay? In other words, the vision, at least the vision I've got for you guys is if you design your screens the right way and you have a question like, well, do I have side panels on hand? I want to be able to see it right here. Can you see this? So right here is my supply and demand information. So I've got on hand, there's my 4,533. I've got all that many on hand, and I've got purchase orders of another 65 of these side panels. And my demand is shown down here, the net available. So quite frankly, am I in good shape? I think I'm in pretty good shape. Yeah, I'm in good shape. So my net available is 1274. So I don't really have to order those. Okay, so do I need to send anything to the requisition for that? Nope, I don't. Make a decision real quick. Move to the next one, base. What do I have on hand? What do I have on order? Net available. Man, I've got lots on hand, so I don't need to buy that. So I go to the rear panel, boom, 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 boom. Oh, now in this case, on this case, I do need to buy it because look, there's already some quantity on component lines. The guys in manufacturing are using it. So they've got demand for that item, which is going to outstrip what I have available. So my net available is going to go in negative. So you may want to come in here and say, okay, I'm going to buy the 2 specific to this order. So I'm going to buy those 2. Let's look at the shelf. I've got plenty on hand on the shelf and the chain. I'm on the hole on the chain as well. So let's buy some more chain. In fact, I probably, if I was smart, I would say, okay, do I buy chain just for this job, which only needs 3, or do I buy for the whole amount that's needed? Well, I'm the purchasing agent for this job, so I want to buy just the items that I need for this particular job. Now, I've only got a pretty short list, so I think I'll go ahead and show you this whole process here because it's really pretty quick and easy. It's already got the vendor on here, 10,000, and then this vendor number here. And please don't ever make up a vendor number like that sample. That's horrible vendor number. It should be the company's name or something, not some monster number that nobody can type. Okay, so I'm going to go here and create the requisition. So we'll just show you what the process is. I'm literally going to create requisition lines and only 2 lines, but the advantage is because I'm pushing it from the job. Now I've got 2 on requisition lines because I'm pushing it from the job to the requisition worksheet. Instantly, I've got the job number on there, and you can see that. So let's just very quickly, let me finish this process. So if we go in here to the requisition worksheet, there's the 2 items, and they should have the job number. Somewhere's the job number? Here it is. Here's the job number on there. So let's just carry out. We'll just pick one of these, and we'll generate the 2 purchase orders. This would be 2 different purchase orders because it's going to those vendors. Now, before I go to the PO, I'm going to show you a little trick here. Now, I love this ability to come into the job. So let's go back to the job. And this is how I would verify that I've got those on order. I would come to the job, and I want to be sure, 2015-01, if I look at the statistics, and this is the first time you've seen the statistic window as well. This shows my current budget for the job. It shows my original budget for the job, and it also shows any outstanding. Did I pick the right job? I didn't. That was the wrong job. It's this job. Okay, so nobody said anything. Should have said, Rick, that's the wrong job. Okay, here it is. So here is the current budget. There's that 24,954.60, and notice right here, this little short column, PO outstanding amount, $53, $52.37. I can drill down, and I'm basically back on the PO lines, okay, because those PO lines have the job number assigned to them. How cool is that? And so now I can say, oh, and if I want to show the document, I can actually open up the PO, and there's the PO to London Postmaster was the vendor for the 2 items. And if I want to see the other PO, I can hit show document, and here's the other vendor that we're buying from, that chain. So it's all linked, okay? A lot of companies call this committed cost. I don't know if you've ever heard that term or not, but this $52.37 is a commitment of cost. You haven't actually purchased it. You've got the PO out there, but you haven't got the invoice from the vendor yet. Once you close out the PO and receive it in, it's going to drop over here, or once you get the invoice, it's going to drop over into the actuals column. Okay. Now, I'm not going to take you through a full training session today on the product. I just want to give you kind of an overview of some of the functionality. So that's the key here on the purchasing department. The purchasing department can look at the raw material list and assist them with that procurement process. I think that's pretty cool. Now, what happens next? 14, the conveyor company begins work on the project. They purchase all the stuff they need, and now they can actually start working on it. So labor is now posted, starting to post to the job. Now, your task list is definitely going to be different. My sample was things like design and CAD and welding and painting and installing, and all of that comes from our template. I didn't type any of that in. That came from a predefined template for the conveyor system. I want this to be as easy to use as possible and as automatic as possible. So all of that information comes in immediately. And so now if I start posting cost into my actuals, okay, down here, okay, the labor, the materials, the subcontract cost, maybe an invoice from a subcontractor, that starts to show up there. In fact, I think on this job, you can start to see it. So let me change to this job right here, this material cost. If I drill down, it's all 40 side panels. So it's just one entry, okay, for all that cost. But in your case, it may be 400 or 4,000 entries that have gone into the job ledger to record all the actual costs, which is different than the estimates. Okay, it might be the same or it might be different. In fact, on this one, look, it is pretty different. The material cost was estimated at 469, and down here our actuals are over $1,000. So often there will be a variance. In fact, you'll see that variance here on that same statistic window. You'll go to the statistics quite often. Here's the expected cost. This is that budgeted cost there. Here's that actual 1,064, and there's the variance. So it shows very clearly where you are in the process of the job. Okay, now I'm hoping as I go through this, you're kind of saying, well, wait a minute, Rick, you didn't cover this and you didn't cover that. If there's things that you want to ask about or think that I didn't cover, just drop the comment into the question box right now, and I'll try to answer that right at the top of the hour when I wrap this up. Okay, but I want to stay as close to on track as possible. So you'll be entering labor. And by the way, I showed you a little bit of the scanning capability. I won't take you through all that, but you'll typically scan in the vendor costs, and or they can still be clerically entered. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't turn in a 3x5 time card and have somebody just key that in. That works fine. Okay, it works perfectly well. And it then updates the cost of the job in the labor category over here. Okay, often I'll get a lot of questions about subcontractors, so I want to mention this as well. So if you sub out some of your work to subcontractors, maybe you sub out the painting, or you sub out some anodizing or plating or some special process that you have done on your job, then you would issue a purchase order for that service, okay, just on an as needed basis. Or because if you have put it into the purchases BOM list, if you've actually put it right in here in the initial that you're going to be purchasing some subcontractors, they would all be listed here, and that same process would go into place where you could actually create requisitions and generate POs, and that committed cost to those suppliers would all be showing up just the same as the material cost. So it works exactly the same. The key here is what task do you assign it to? So if let's say you subcontract your welding, so you could have a welding company that comes in and performs all the welding for you. So you would then, on that invoice, you would put the job number 2017-01, and you would put the task number 2300, and then the actual cost would show up here in what we call total cost column. That's going to show up for what your total cost paid to those subcontractors right here, as well as it's going to show up back here in the actual cost and on that statistics, and also in the job ledger. Now, a job ledger, let's look at this job because it's got some entries. The job ledger is where the actual costs occur. So in here, you would have a list of all the invoices that you've paid, all the materials that you've used, all the employee costs would all be listed in here. This is where you get the audit, okay, of your job. All those costs down to the penny are all going to be listed here. Very cool. I just, and I hope you understand. I'm going through this fairly quickly, but I really hope you understand the way this works, and that it's at least close to your process. And if you're not sure, the reason I really want you on this call is because this is only a first look. That to be sure that the vision matches your vision, we have to do it one-on-one. So I'm going to encourage you after this session to think about setting up a private appointment with me to go through with some of your data, your workflow, your processes, and let's be sure that your vision matches what you see here on the screen. Hopefully you're seeing enough that you go, hey, that's pretty close. Okay, but what about this or what about that? That's where we have to get together one-on-one. And I really encourage you to contact me. You've got our emails. You've got emails from Ben, from myself. Reach out to us and let's get together and and see if this will work at your office. It's just really important to us and to you to kind of be sure that it will fit your particular application. Okay, so that's a little bit on subcontractors. The statistics, I showed you this already. That's that F7, and it's also the audit report there. Did I show that? I don't know if I showed that. So here, that doesn't have any cost. But if I look at this statistic report, this is the statistics on the job. The audit report's right here as well. And so I can print this for this this particular job. I don't think there's just that one entry, but it shows up here, shows all the estimates, and then as actuals start to come in, this job cost audit is going to show exactly those costs by cost category. That's so important. By each one of these tasks, okay, it's going to show all the transactional detail and then total it up down here at the bottom for the total cost of the project to the penny. I mean, we want accurate reporting, so there is how you're going to get it. And I hope you can just visualize this thing in your office. Okay, a couple more things before we close out. Not everybody wants this, but a lot of people do, is some sort of visual scheduling tool all related to the job. I want to be able to take that job information and display it visually so I know what's supposed to be happening out on the shop floor or way out in, if you're more of a service type business, what processes have to occur. So we use a product called Planner One. You may have heard of that product by now. Hope you have. It is a wonderful, wonderful scheduling tool. Ties in very nicely. I'll show you where it hooks in. So if I go back to that estimating, back here within estimating, you'll have a planning date, like 6/28/18, a number of time, and a person. Okay, it could be a person, could be a resource, could be a CNC machine. Okay, it could be a machine that's going to be doing those 30 hours of time. And we want to basically see that visually. So we're taking these planning lines, okay, that's why they're very important. That's our estimate of the job, and we want to create a visual presentation of that information. Here's what it would look like. So I'm going to open up the resource planner. Now notice I'm not leaving NAV. So everything's embedded right here. You don't have to go anywhere else to get this information. Each one of these rectangles on the timeline, so this is the timeline, this is my calendar up here at the top. Okay, this is the resources down the left side, and I can just scroll the bar. And so every one of these, I call them stickers, has a start date. That's the job planning date, or the task planning date of the planning line. And then it has how many hours, that's the duration. By the way, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So my calendar is set up as a Monday through Friday calendar, closed on the weekends. That's what these gray areas are, the non-working periods. So the sticker gets longer when it only has a certain capacity to work during a day. These can be moved. So currently I'm in the move mode. So if I want to just grab a sticker, it's a visual drag and drop, and I say, okay, I'm going to push this out, let's say 2 weeks. Okay, so I can literally move it over. Now I've got some conflict with this one, or maybe I want this one to happen sooner, things like that. And I can't go through the whole presentation here on the scheduling board, but this is a really nice scheduling tool, all linked to your jobs. And you can either see it by resource down the left side here for Mark and Mary, or you can see it by job. So now if I switch by job, then I can see the operations. Let's go to the end of planning. I'll start a planning. Do I have any in here? Yeah. Okay. So here's the concept of these jobs. It's over in this date. So here's the different jobs. And if I open up one of the jobs, I can see all the operations that are going to occur on that job. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have very much sample in there on that job. But this is again a visual presentation of the job information that you've set up in your NAV software. So you do the work here in NAV, and it just drops in here. We take you through the process to understand how this works and how you can let these stickers and the colors can change depending on what you need for alerts if an operation gets behind a schedule, something like that. Okay, so I'm not going to spend any more than just a kind of a little peek at that product. That is called Planner One, and it's called Visual Scheduling. The name of the program is Resource Planner. Okay, I didn't even put that in the book, did I? Okay, so in fact, let me ask a question right about here. I'm going to bring up another poll. I like to do some polls, and I've got behind on my polls. Let me launch this. So if you had this product, what I have been showing, I've shown you the visual scheduling, I've shown you the job costing, the grouping of the jobs. If you had this right now, would it be helpful for you, or would you use it? So take just a minute, grab your mouse, and just click up there. You can say, yes, I'd use it. I love what I'm seeing. You can say, this is fantastic. Maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. How do I get this software? I'll tell you about that in a second. And if it's not for you and you're going to drop off the call, that's okay too. I mean, part of coming here and evaluating software is to really see. Anybody else want to vote real quick? We got 63% of you voting. Somebody else needs to click the button. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, too late. Here we go. I'll share back, and this is what people are saying. 60% of the attendees say, yes, I love what I'm seeing. That's great. I love that. Nobody thought it was fantastic, but maybe this is a pretty good answer here. And 40% say, well, maybe I would use this if I had this. So, and this is not for everybody. Okay, I got to make that point that this software is only for people in the right environment. If this makes sense for you, then yes. If you need, something different, let's talk about it. Let's find out exactly what makes sense for your environment, because this is not the only program. Okay, I want to talk just briefly about billing. Now, jobs, everybody seems to bill their jobs differently. Some people bill based on a milestone. Once I've got all the painting done, then I'm going to send you a bill. Or once we've done the design work, I'm going to send you an invoice for the work that we've done. So you define that up front and set the milestones, and then it auto generates the invoice to send to the customer based on those milestones. Now, other people do it differently. You could also say, well, I set up a contract amount. Remember when we set up those planning lines? And if I'm 10% complete of the contract, then I'm going to bill you 10%. And once I'm to 30%, then I'm going to bill you 30% of the contract, less what I've already paid or charged. So you can do a contract billing format. In fact, there's 8 different billing formats. There's percent complete, cost plus, fixed contract, free form, amount per task, milestones, T&M, and based on the sales order. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do billings to the customer. I won't go through these other than to mention them here. And if you want to see a video that shows each of these different methods, I've got a very nice training on each one of them on our website underneath the Job Manager. I think it's on the Job Manager billing. Just scroll down, you'll see it. And there's a video that shows each of these different billing methods to be sure that it's right for you. Okay, go to 19, reporting. 50 plus reports. We provide lots of reports. Just imagine the difference this would make in your office if you had all this. Just boom, it's just all there. Remember we said at the beginning, no coding? Absolutely no coding. We just install it and it's done. It's done for you. Okay, all the reports. Let me show you an example of the reports here real quick. So I come back here to the jobs, I go to reports, job manager reports. These are all the reports. Travelers, budget reports, quote reports, expected receipts reports, purchase order, quote line reports, inventory availability reports, actual to billing variance reports, hours, how many hours remaining do I have on the job, jobs by finish date, we've tried to kind of second guess, quite frankly, trying to second guess what people are going to want for reports. And so, we rather than saying, well, we'll wait and you just have to create it. No, we provide about 50 reports, and there's more. There's more here into this time, this job analysis section. Let me just print one of these. So this is the jobs by start date, finish date, hours. We go to this one by hours, and you can just get a sense for what we do here. So here's a list of the jobs. So this is all the jobs. I got about 50 jobs in my system. And it's the job type, whether it's a resource or an item job, if I'm making a finished good, because our job system does allow you to post production and actually put the item into a physical inventory. And this shows, what do we got here? The posted invoice amount, so how much we've invoiced it, the actual labor cost, the actual material cost, actual other cost, total cost, profit on the job, and profit percent. So that's across all these jobs. So you can see it here. You can also see it in kind of a nice little view on screen as well. There's a, let me go to that one. So we call it the job cockpit. And it's like an airplane cockpit where you have lots and lots of information, right? All the gauges and dials and stuff. Well, this is the job cockpit. Lets me see all of the jobs, the job quantity ordered. It's got the job status, the job contract amounts, the labor cost, billings, actual hours, just everything you want to know about your jobs is summarized neat and tidy right here on this screen, okay, called the job cockpit. I think this is really a very nice addition for you. And just think about what this would, hopefully that would make a difference for you in your office, that it would just really provide value as you use this software. Okay, so let's see here. What else we got? Reporting. I mentioned the job closeout. Let me just kind of explain job closeout. When a job is complete, all costs, all costs have been entered. Okay, and you just change the status to complete. Only at that stage will the job to date cost, JTD cost, job to date cost, equals the final cost. Let me show that on this screen here. I'm going to go back one of these jobs. Let's look at the statistic window. We were in this earlier. So here's a statistic window, and here's the actuals. So this one's got some actual billing against the contract amount. It's got the shop hours. It's got the material usage. So when this job is finished, then the job to date total down here is the actual cost of that job. But that assumes a couple things. It assumes all the invoices have come in, all the billing's done, all the employees have turned in time cards, it's all been entered. And so then this becomes a realistic number for you as far as the actual cost. And then it is appropriate to change the status. In fact, we've got a button, an action button somewhere here. There, right there. Change status to completed. So all you have to do now, and the reason we made this as a button rather than just a change of the status, we do a check to be sure that there's no outstanding purchase orders, there's no outstanding sales orders, there's no open vendor invoices that need to be posted to the job. So everything has to be really, really complete, neat, and tidy, and then then we can change that status to complete. Okay, so all right, so let's see how we did here. I'm curious, and I'm saying how close was today's, launch this up on the screen, how close was today's example to your business? So did I get anywhere close in this presentation to how does this match your business? Okay, you may have some variation. Just let me know there whether this is exactly what you do. And I know you probably don't make conveyor systems, but you probably do some other things along the way. So just let me know this was exactly or fairly close, or you really like it. If it's not for you, or will there be a Q&A session at the end? And the answer is yes on that one. So quite a few people saying, will there be Q&A? So I'm going to close the poll and we'll show you back what people are saying. So 75% saying it's fairly close, and I don't know whether fairly close means 90% close or whether it's 50% close, but fairly close that's not bad. Okay, and 25% are saying, when are you going to get to questions? And that's coming up. So let me move this out of the way. And so I want to encourage you, as far as a next step, is to have a one-on-one with me. If you like anything close to what you saw today, and you're saying, well, it's close, but it's not quite for us, or the workflow, we don't do it quite that sequence, but I like the cost of the job, and I like that statistic window, and we do try to track the actuals and the labor, or yeah, we do scheduling, but it's all on some whiteboard out in the shop, and there's no integration to the job system, anything like that, then it's important that we have a one-on-one and kind of talk about it. Now, I know we're right up against Christmas, so it'll probably be after Christmas or maybe after the first of the year at this stage, but do think about it. Let's get that booked for, I'm actually booking out in early January right now. So if you would like to get an appointment set with me, I'd encourage you to shoot an email to me. Again, my name is Rick Baxter. That's me. Cost Control Software. So it's rick.baxter at costcontrolsoftware.com. We're in Carmel, Indiana. I hope you liked the session. I'm going to close off the presentation for today and open up for questions. So here's how the questions work, because it looks like a couple people had questions. What you do is on the Go to Webinar dialog box, you just, I'll leave that up there, you just type in the question, because I got to keep unfortunately I don't want to get the feedback over the mic because I am recording this. So you just type in your question, and I'll wait. Take your time. And there's a place in the Go to Webinar dialog box. You just open that up and you'll see it there for the question box. And you just type in a short question. I'll see if I can answer it. So, because we did have a few people that did say they had some questions about this. And don't be shy. If you had a question, now's the time to ask. And you can always send emails. You can always put questions on our website. There's a section on our website for Contact Us and a box where you can type in the question there as well. Now, somebody wanted to see some questions. We had quite a few people asked about questions. And now you're too shy, I guess. Okay. Well, no, I'm not seeing any questions popping up over here. So if you have a question now, you better do it quick because we're going to close out. So I want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. Have fun with family and friends. And there will be no webinar next week or the week after. I think we start around the 10th of January with some additional webinars. So do watch your emails for that. Oh, finally a question. Okay, so question says, Ven says, will this work on older versions of NAV? Yeah, this software goes back to probably about 2019. I don't think I want to go back much further than that. I'm not 29 to 2009 is what I was thinking of. 2009, we have version 2009, 2015, 2017, 2016, all those versions. So yes, it's available in many different versions. Obviously the newest version is going to have the most enhancements to it, but the older versions I think are still very viable, and we would be glad to talk to you about. Just let me know what version you're on, and I'll just double check that. Thank you for the question. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you maybe sometime in January.